Manipulative relationships inflict severe harm and are profoundly abusive, often constituting one of the most distressing experiences an individual might endure. Regrettably, those subjected to such mistreatment frequently remain unaware of the insidious manipulation tactics employed by individuals who should offer them unconditional love and support. Instead of fostering joy and fostering personal achievements, these cherished individuals morph into stumbling blocks on the path to success. Navigating these complex relationships presents a formidable challenge. It's important to acknowledge that altering the behavior of a narcissist is an exceedingly arduous endeavor. In most cases, the optimal choice is to distance oneself. However, this becomes significantly more complicated when the narcissist in question happens to be a parent, relative, spouse, or another influential presence in one's life. Identifying the tactics of manipulation empowers you to react constructively, effectively outwitting these manipulators and safeguarding yourself against their destructive influence. Presented here are 10 strategies frequently employed by narcissists to exert their manipulative control. Number 1. Enmeshment. Narcissists exhibit a marked tendency to disregard boundaries, which often morphs into a manipulative approach. Enmeshment signifies relationships characterized by blurry personal boundaries, wherein the manipulator operates without regard for your distinct individuality and specific needs. Their actions and words transpire without hesitation, whether directed at you, in your presence, or concealed from you. Protests and appeals to ethics often fall on deaf ears. Occasionally, this manipulation remains covert, gradually escalating the harm until realization dawns too late. Enmeshment stifles your ability to voice your feelings, seek support from others, and establish essential limits. This dynamic hampers efforts to bring about positive transformations, both for yourself and your cherished ones. Number 2. Deflection, diversion, and evasion. Narcissists deploy this strategy to sidestep direct inquiries and evade accountability for their deceitful actions. They engage in deflection, shifting the conversation's focus onto you. Employ diversion, steering the discourse toward an unrelated subject. Or resort to evasion, responding with vague, unrelated, or empty statements. The narcissist's objective is to sow confusion and redirect attention, thus absolving themselves. Number 3. Amplification. Narcissists possess a penchant for magnifying one's shortcomings while relegating successes to the shadows within their relationships. Your accomplishments often go unrecognized and unacknowledged, while any flaws or errors are meticulously accentuated. This approach aims to diminish your self-worth, enabling the narcissist to take center stage. As you become increasingly drained and burdened with uncertainty, the pursuit of success becomes a more arduous endeavor. Number 4. Emotional manipulation. Narcissists skillfully exploit your emotions to their advantage. When you express distress over their actions, they deflect by fixating on your negative feelings instead of addressing their conduct. They may belittle you for raising concerns about mistreatment and could even criticize you for displaying positive emotions. This cunning tactic compels you to internalize your emotions gradually. Consequently, the narcissist evades accountability and retains their hold on control. Number 5. Utilizing shame. Manipulators often exploit the power of shame as a potent weapon. Humiliation becomes their favored tool, strategically deploying frequent insults that emphasize disgust, scorn, or letdown, especially when an audience is present. Their objective is to cultivate emotions of insignificance and insufficiency, effectively subduing you into compliance. Succumbing to this manipulation can ensnare you in a relentless loop of pessimistic thoughts and emotions. Number 6. Infantilization. Infantilization stands as yet another prevalent manipulation ploy. Narcissists undermine your emotional and psychological maturity by accentuating your perceived lack of wisdom or life experience. Through this act, they diminish your status to that of a child in both your perception and theirs, effectively relegating you to a lower rung on the social ladder and depriving you of decision-making autonomy. This maneuver grants the manipulator unimpeded control over your actions. Number 7. Rationalization. When a narcissist finds themselves unable to elude scrutiny for their actions, they resort to rationalization. Their justifications and explanations are often replete with fallacious reasons or deceptive perspectives. Despite the inherent dishonesty in these rationalizations, others frequently buy into them, perceiving the narcissist's viewpoint as reasonable or even acceptable, particularly when these falsehoods are propagated clandestinely. Moreover, the manipulator tends to tailor their narrative depending on the audience. Ultimately, their aim is to avoid criticism. The narcissist endeavors to deflect your scrutiny, enabling them to continue their behavior with a sense of entitlement. They aim to make you feel inadequate, inexperienced, or simply unable to comprehend them. Number 8. Triangulation. Should you fall prey to triangulation, the manipulator will intentionally withhold communication from you while sowing discord among other members of your circle. This style of manipulation manifests in various ways, contingent upon the circumstances, yet it typically involves elements of gaslighting or subtle maneuvers that pit you against your peers. Often, you might remain only partially cognizant of these dynamics. The underlying aim is to sow division and establish dominance. Once you find yourself isolated from your network of support, the manipulator gains a stronger foothold in exerting control. Number 9. Orchestrating failure. Narcissists derive a perverse satisfaction from witnessing their victims immersed in stressful predicaments, often delighting in the orchestration of such scenarios. This explains their inclination to deliberately engineer circumstances that lead to certain failure. Subsequently, the ensuing failure is exploited as ammunition to undermine and censure the target of their manipulation. This tactic is frequently executed clandestinely through acts of sabotage or the deliberate undermining of achievable goals. It's plausible that narcissists are projecting their own internal sentiments of inadequacy onto their victims during these instances. Number 10. Covert aggression. Narcissists possess a penchant for concealing their abusive behavior beneath a veneer of subtlety. They adeptly transform insults into what seems like well-intentioned guidance, valuable teachings, or potential remedies. It's plausible that you might be led to genuinely believe that the manipulator harbors a sincere desire to assist you. Regrettably, such advice often morphs into subsequent criticism or disappointment, frequently emanating from the narcissist themselves or their associates who view you as inferior. The underlying objective of this manipulation tactic is to diminish and degrade. Through this approach, the narcissist exerts control over you while simultaneously obscuring their noxious actions.